Hello everyone and welcome to the demo of LumineNight, or LumineNight? I'm not sure. Anyway, it is a story-driven detective adventure game. And let's just jump right in and try it out. Alright, we're in 1950, Somerset Beach. Seems like I made it in time. The scene must be downstairs. Alright, Detective Foster. Officer Coleman is guarding the scene. I should say hi to him before I go downstairs. Moving and interacting. Alright. Run with left shift. Interact with Z or space. Hello, Coleman. Good morning, Officer Coleman. Detective Foster, good morning. The crime scene is over there. The rest of the team is waiting for you downstairs. Alright. Detective William wanted barbecued ribs for lunch today. Well, I'm not sure. I walked past that place on the way and it was closed. Oh. Detective William won't be happy to hear that. He really seemed like he was craving for some ribs. Oh well, let's go get some burgers after we're done here. Sounds good, sir. Hey, now, you over there, don't cross the line. Seems like the body on the beach is becoming a bit of an attraction. I should wrap this up before more people come to see what's going on. I should first go downstairs and say hi to the rest of the team. Alright, contemplate. When you are lost or face a difficult problem, you can think of a hint about the next objective or deduction. Alright. First things first, I should talk to my colleagues. So, if you won that game back then... Hello, William. Hey, William, how are things looking? Ah, the man of the hour. What took you so long? We're already done with the initial sweep. I'm sorry, I couldn't find my badge in my coat pocket. Your badge? Did you leave it at home? I never leave it out of my pocket. I just couldn't find it anywhere. You lost your badge? One hell of a cop you are, Kelvin. Isn't that right, Sergeant Colbert? I've never seen Foster being late and losing his badge. Life is full of surprises. My apologies. How is the investigation going? Well, it's a tricky case. We're already done with the search, but... What could an old man like me find here? Better you than me. William said it seems like a normal suicide. I reckon Kelvin would have to agree with me once he takes a look at the scene. Right, partner. Let's hear what your informant... witness... What? Mr. James has to say. Informant qua witness? I'm not sure where to begin. Why don't you give me a lowdown, starting from the beginning? Okay, well, to start from the beginning, I was walking down the footpath here when I was getting off work last night. When exactly do you mean by last night? It was something like midnight or half past, I think. Alright. Phew, I've been working graveyard shifts all the time and we're short-staffed. I can't even go home for dinner. I get so tired when I go back home late at night and I can't even spend time playing with my kids. Maybe I should look for a new job before the company really goes bust. But that would mean that I'd no longer see this beautiful coastline when I commute. Sitting on the beach here and looking at the ocean does feel a bit relaxing. What's that? What is that guy doing here at this time of the night? Good question. It's a raging alcoholic, that. He's living the good life, unlike someone who's been working all this time. Anyway, that's how I would have looked like when I sit there. I guess other people thought the same about me when I was sitting there. I guess I will stop lounging there like that. So I went back home, thinking that the man was asleep there after a night of heavy drinking. Drinking on the seawall. People do that sometimes, I suppose. Right? And he was waving his arms like this. I wasn't sure if he was sleeping or turning, but anyway, if the guy was that drunk, it's not that strange of a thing, is it? I bet anyone would have thought the same. But this morning, something happened. I was commute using this footpath, you see? I was on my way to work today and that man was still there, lying down like a dog at the same spot. I mean, he was dressed neatly and all, and he's out there sleeping on the street. I thought it was odd and went down the beach to see what's up with him. When I got close to him, I noticed that he wasn't breathing, and he looked very pale. That's why I went to the phone booth there and reported it to the police. Phew, you know, this is still freaking me out. Yesterday night he was alive, and this morning he ends up dead. Okay, a witness saw a man sitting against the seawall on the beach around midnight on October 11th and confirmed his death the next morning. Okay. Open notebook. Important information and clues are recorded in the detective's notebook. You can always check that information by opening the notebook. Okay. At the clues tab, you can check the clues you have collected so far, or delve deeper into the information hidden inside the clues. Okay. In the Profiles tab, you can find brief information about the people you have met so far. This is the man who was found dead sitting with the seawall against his back on Somerset Beach. The man who reported a body on Somerset Beach on the morning of October 12th. He saw a man sitting on the beach around midnight the day before and again in the morning. So you're sure you saw him alive and waving his arms last night? Yes, I'm sure. Thanks, Mr. James. Hey, William, let me take a closer look at the body. I don't have my badge with me today, so I think I'd need your help, detective. Whatever. Go on. Look around with left alt. Take a breath, stand still, and look around. Focus nearby objects and find out which ones are interactive. Alright. A man was discovered dead, leaning on the seawall at the end of the Somerset Beach footpath. The corpse looks as calm as a person who is fast asleep in a restful nap. There are no bloodstains nearby, and it wouldn't have been easy to notice that he was dead before checking on him from near. Right. I should thoroughly inspect anything that could be a clue to cracking the case open. Move cursor and inspect objects you want to investigate. Alright. You can't end the field investigation until you collect all the information. If you can't seem to find the clues, try using your focus. The man's fingers are stained with nicotine. The man must have been a heavy smoker. For his fingers to be this discolored, he must have had smoked at least 2 packs a day. Yeah, heavy smoker and left-handed. Since his other hand is clean, he must have had smoked with his left hand only. I'm guessing he would have been left-handed. His hands are clean and smooth without any calluses or scars. His nails are filed neatly too. His suit seems to be quite the expensive type too. He would have been a well-educated upper-class businessman, or at least would have worked in some sort of a white-collar job. I wouldn't expect a man of this stature to be found dead in a place like this all alone. From the witness's testimony, this man stayed on the beach all night. His shoes aren't dirty at all though. It doesn't seem like he was walking around the beach at all. Looks like he was just sitting here ever since he got to the beach. I don't see any traces of a fight or any trauma either. Since he's clothed well in an expensive suit, he would have been warm enough as well. And since last night wasn't that cold either, it's not likely that hypothermia is the cause of death. Everything leading up to his death was this peaceful. Like William said, it's all looking like a simple suicide. The man's face is calm, and it seems like he died during his sleep. His face makes it look like he died painlessly. His beard is trimmed neatly. Seems like he shaved yesterday morning. I should check his pupils too. His pupils are dilated. No reflexes either. Sounds right for a dead man's eye. It's been decades in Somerset since the last time a corpse like this appeared. I should do my best to resolve this mystery so that this man can find respite. Wait, this is not a handkerchief. There is something interesting in his chest pocket. Seema? What's this? William, I just found this in the man's chest pocket. Did you notice this? Oh wait, he had something more on him? Did you miss this in the first sweep? I forgot to check his chest pocket. But what's this? Seema? What does that mean? I'm not sure either. The letters are imprinted on a pulp-based paper with equal margins. Seems like he tore it from a book of some sort. Normally, in a pocket like this, people would put a folded handkerchief. If this man left this note here, it would have been something important to the deceased man, I suppose. At least he wouldn't have lost it if he put it in somewhere like this. Belongings. This wallet is made of sheepskin. I'm guessing that it would have been pricey. But the inside betrays its looks, not a single cent. William, this wallet, right? What pocket did you find it in? It was in his back pocket, I'm sure. In his back pocket? So he sat on it? The corpse is sitting. I guess it wouldn't have been easy to take it out of his back pocket. Yeah, tell me about it. If someone wasn't late, fishing the wallet out of his pocket would have been a cakewalk. They told me to keep the scene as intact as possible until you got here. So that's why. You know how hard it was to lift the body up, take the wallet out of his pocket and set him down again? I see. Sorry about that. You know, if you're going to be late, better yet, just skip it. I can't not come though, right? I'll make sure to be on time. But anyway, about this wallet, it doesn't have a single thing in it. I wonder how long it will take to ID him. Yep, this man, he hasn't got a single thing on himself. He's simply penniless. So these 2 bus tickets in his wallet are all he had. These tickets from yesterday both say they depart from Salty Mary Station, but they depart on different times and the destinations are different too. A ticket bound for Somerset Beach at 8:10 p.m. Seems like this man used this ticket last evening to take the bus here. The other ticket is strange. It's a ticket bound for Pamela Street at 8:30 p.m. The destinations are different and he wouldn't have used it anyway. Why did he buy it then? If he bought the wrong ticket, he would have gotten a refund. It's not like he had a lot of money to spare after all. Yeah, that is strange. These cigarettes, I'm not sure what make they are. It almost looks a bit like a hand-rolled cigarette. The shape and size of the filter is slightly different from regular ones. William, where did you find this cigarette butt? Oh, that? We found this on this man's tie. On this man's tie? Look, it was just on his tie like this. I guess you could say it was on his chest. The smoke butt was found on his tie. For some reason, this doesn't feel right. I mean, if it was in his mouth to begin with, then... I mean, it could have fallen down. I think I've looked through all that I have to. I suppose I could wrap up the investigation here. Did you check everything? So what do you think, Detective Foster? Well, like you said, it's a tricky case. We could not find any wounds on the body. It doesn't seem like hypothermia or a drowning. The man came to the beach on his own on a bus and died peacefully leaning on the sea wall. The first thing that comes to mind is a suicide or a natural death, but... What do you think, Kelvin? Either a suicide or a natural death, no? I don't think we can rush to a conclusion yet. What do you mean, rush? You saw everything, didn't you? There wasn't a single drop of blood on the body or near it. So what you are saying is this man was not murdered. That's right. I mean, don't you get a good hunch from all this? A hunch? But a person died, William. We can't base our investigation on a hunch. Hey, it was just an expression. It's all a result of a logical and reasonable process of deduction, alright? That's how you do things, isn't it? Really? Give me a rundown then. Well, why not? My deduction is bulletproof. So, here it goes. The man, for an unknown reason, tried to find where he could end his life. That place happened to be Somerset Beach. Only he would know why he chose an awkward spot like this, but I suppose he wanted to feel the ocean breeze and watch this nightscape for the last time. And anyway, after admiring Pimstown's beautiful night skyline, he decided to smoke one last cigarette before he ended everything. A lonely end, but it could be worse. At least he had his last cigarette. I suppose he would have said something like, yeah, this wasn't half bad of a life, before he made his final choice. And the cigarette butt dropped as the man let out his final breath. That is why we found the cigarette butt on his tie, just like we found him. How's that, huh? Matches up with the scene, doesn't it? So that's your argument? This wasn't a tough nut to crack after all. William, it looks like you're proud of the deduction. Sorry I have to break the mood. There's a major hole in William's deduction. I'm guessing that something completely else happened last night. If the cause of death is unclear, it's best to send the body for an autopsy. Exactly. It's difficult to get an autopsy approved on a corpse that committed suicide or died naturally. Nobody wants to disturb the dead without a good reason. But if there is a single tiny little clue, if I can find a single clue that this man could have been a victim of a murder, then let's get started cleaning up around here. Wait, William, I think you're making some unsubstantiated claims there. What, you still don't get it? What do you not understand? Go on, spit it out. I'll refute it until you understand why I was right. Refute you? That's an idea and a half. Let's see if our deductions have any issues. If either one of us makes an irrefutable argument, we'll know who's right. Okay. It is time for the balanced debate, where you compare the efficacy of your argument with your opponent's. To strengthen your argument or refute your opponent's, place the right clue on the scale to change its tilt. Provide the correct clues to each situation and steer the deduction to the right course. William, I think that the key evidence in the scene that supports your deduction is the cigarette butt found on top of the dead man's tie. Isn't that right? Well, yeah, I'd guess so. It wasn't just rolling around anywhere, it was right there on his chest. Isn't it natural to think that the man was smoking it? And didn't you say that this cigarette seems to be hand-rolled? Right, I'm sure this isn't readily available everywhere. Then it's natural to think that the dead man used this to commit suicide. What? So William thinks that the cigarette here is the key to the case. Are you implying that the cigarette was poisonous, and no external actor was involved in this man poisoning himself to death? That explains why the corpse and its surroundings are so clean. At least from a cursory look, it doesn't look very poisonous, doesn't smell like it either. Of course, a proper lab test is due. I'm not speaking in absolutes. All I'm saying is that the scene makes it look like the case. Doesn't that mean that what you said about the cigarette is just a hypothesis? Hey, not all hypotheses are wrong. Of course not. But what if there's a major problem in the hypothesis itself? What do you mean a major problem? Were you even listening to me? Right, I'll give you a rundown for the last time. Listen up. Last night, the man decided to come to Somerset Beach. He used this bus ticket that departed from Salty Mary Station. Why? To commit suicide. Then the man had to smoke a cigarette. Why do I say that? You saw how stained his left hand was from nicotine, didn't you? That means that the man was a heavy smoker. Do you get what I mean? Whether the cigarette contained poison or not is not important. Well, I mean, if it didn't, then how did he die? What is important is that this man was the type of man who just had to smoke one last cigarette before ending it all. I admit that there is some imagination in my deduction. I wasn't here looking over the man as he died. How would I figure out how exactly he died? By following the evidence? But look at the evidence left on the scene. A single wallet the dead man had, and a note with some unidentifiable scrawl. A bus ticket the man used, and the cigarette he smoked. There's nothing here suggesting that anyone else was here other than him. Which means that he either took some poisonous pill or died naturally due to some illness he had. You have 2 more pieces of evidence that support your hypothesis. Good work, William. It's time to admit it. Your partner, Detective Foster, is as capable as you are in the art of deduction. William, you're one hell of a detective, but people can make mistakes. There's a major contradiction in your deduction. The clue that reveals the contradiction is... I'm not sure, actually. I kind of feel like it might be that. Because where would he have kept the cigarette? The dead man hardly had anything on himself. Not a single thing a regular person would bring with himself when he's out and about. Yeah, let's put that on the scales. But the man did not have enough things in his possession. What? What does that have to do with anything? Let's say that, like you said, the man grabbed his last cigarette from his pocket. But then, how could he have lighted it? Exactly. Light it? Oh! All this man had on him was his wallet, 2 bus tickets, and a little piece of paper. None of that can be used to light up a cigarette. How do you smoke without a match or a lighter? Oh, right. He could have thrown away his lighter after he lit his cigarette. For instance, he could have thrown it in the ocean. Well, you know, getting rid of one's belongings before dying and all and that sort. Wouldn't that explain why he came to the beach in the first place? I don't think so. If he threw away his belongings in the ocean for closure, why didn't he throw away his wallet? You're right. Wait, that's it! A thief stole it, alongside other valuables on him. This man has been sitting here alone all night, no? It makes perfect sense for a thief to target him. There would be evidence on the scene if someone had been there. If that was the case, it explains how he was quite literally penniless, because he was robbed penniless. You just said that it was very difficult to get the wallet out of his back pocket. I'm sorry, but I disagree. What? Huh. What makes you so sure? Do you have proof that nobody could have robbed him during the night? Of course. There's a critical piece of evidence. It's because of... the position of the wallet. Where this wallet was found. Where we found this wallet? Yeah. What did you say when I asked you where you found this wallet? William, this wallet, right? What pocket did you find it in? It was in his back pocket, I'm sure. If a thief stole the belongings of a man who was fast asleep sitting here, and only left his empty wallet behind, why would the thief put that wallet in the man's back pocket, which he would have been sitting on? And didn't you say this too? The corpse is sitting. I guess it wouldn't have been easy to take it out of his back pocket. They told me to keep the scene as intact as possible until you get here, so that's why. You know how hard it was to lift the body up, take the wallet out of his pocket, and set him down again? That's what you told me. If that's right, the thief took utmost care not to disturb the man's posture as he was sat down here. I don't think it's very likely that a thief as sophisticated as that would be behind this. So the man would not have had much on him from the beginning, without money nor lighter. And someone else would have been there who had a lighter or a matchstick and could light the cigarette. Yeah, alright, okay, you're right. Even if the scene looks peaceful at first glance, maybe it's because the culprit tried to clean up the scene to derail us. Maybe the culprit first killed him with poison and then left the corpse on the beach while nobody's looking. This beach is a bit of a secluded area, and it's not too shabby for a corpse dump. The culprit could have intentionally left a cigarette on the body to make it look like the victim committed suicide. If the victim and the culprit knew each other, there could have been some bad blood between them. Drop a cigarette on the victim as if the culprit wanted to mock him, and so forth. You said the poison theory is just a hypothesis. Of course, all of this is also a hypothesis. I say an autopsy will make things clear. What do you say? So that's why you wanted to argue that it was a murder. Because us police only get the right to perform autopsies when it's clear it's a murder. Yeah, if I'm on the money, this is a first-degree murder. Phew, sounds like we're about to get busy. How do we even ID this guy? Well, it seems like this man tried to get to Pamela Street yesterday. We should talk to the people who live there and look for any witnesses around the ticket booth. You have a way of making more work for all of us, huh? And the autopsy, I suppose Dr. Charlotte could take care of it. She's the only doctor that does any sort of that thing in this backwater town anyway. Why do you even ask? Well, forget all that. Let's go for lunch already. I'm starving. We're getting ribs today. That place been closed since last week. Let's have burgers instead. Nothing's going my way today. Hospital corridor. Kelvin, there you are. Ah, William, just in time. Did we identify the deceased man? Yeah, Officer Coleman gave me a copy of the residence on Pamela Street. All of the residents? That was fast. Didn't you know that the place was basically deserted for a while? There were only 3 households there. Coleman even ran their plates. Only 3, huh? I didn't know that. Makes sense it didn't take that long, right? Here's the case report. It's the preliminary report. Alright. Coleman said there's some new information updated after the preliminary investigation. Thanks, I'll get right to it. Late 30s. So, it's Alexander A. Wayne. Red-green colorblind. Blonde hair, green eyes. It was found that none of the dead man's clothes had their brand labels on. Okay. Not sure why that matters. Okay. William, is this the new information you were talking about? I think so. Let's see. All of the labels on the clothes were removed? Huh. I don't even know where the labels are on my own clothes. Guess some people have strange habits. Well, maybe the victim had a habit of doing so, or the culprit removed the labels after killing him. The culprit? What? Advan Labelle? What? Comes from getting rid of the labels. Maybe the culprit thought that other people knowing where the victim bought his clothes might compromise his identity? Are you implying that the culprit was a tailor or something? If that's the case, we should be looking outside of Somerset, somewhere like Pimstown or... I'm not saying that the culprit must have had something to do with tailoring. The key fact here is that for some reason, somebody removed all of the clues that will help us identify who the victim was. There wasn't an ID on the body, and the clothes didn't have any labels either. If the victim was murdered by someone he knew, and if the culprit just meant to distract our investigation with it, this won't be a difficult case. But it's odd that the wallet was left on the body despite everything. If the culprit was that thorough, there's no way we would have found any sort of belongings on his body. But if we suppose that the victim had actually committed suicide, I guess it would be difficult to claim that he was a regular traveler. If he was someone to try to hide his identity even after death, perhaps he could have been a spy in a government agency or a mafia member of some sort. By the way, did we get any news from the train station? Did anyone there see the dead man? Oh yeah, about that, I think you should see for yourself. Myself? Did something happen there? I thought Sergeant Colbert was taking care of that. Well, yeah, but there was a report of a burglary last night at the station. They said it would be better if a single detective could work on both cases. A robbery at the train station? When did that happen? It happened last night, and it was reported this morning. What? Shouldn't someone have been there already? Wasn't Sergeant Colbert with us this morning, not the train station? Well, the sergeant has a knack of forgetting what he has to do. my gosh. I should head there as soon as I see the autopsy results. That being said, weren't we supposed to meet the doctor ages ago? Where is she? She's usually always on time. Seems like she's still human, huh? I was having a chat with her just now. She had to attend to an urgency, so I was waiting for her to come back. That makes sense. Speak of the devil, there she is.
Ah, your partner is here. Sorry for making you wait.
Duty calls, right? So, how was the patient?
Oh, it's nothing. I could tell you about it if you're curious. There was a patient who came in yesterday insisting that he had tetanus from a prick on his finger. It seems like the staff sent him to the ER because of acute trismus and generalized seizure. But no local tetanus was detected on the wound on the left index finger, and the spatula test also came back negative. I believe that the symptoms such as vomiting and dizziness was a result of the digestive medicine he took last night after drinking, so the best thing I could do was administer a vaccine.
Sorry to interrupt, but your sleeve is torn.
Oh, this administering the vaccine was a bit more physically demanding because the patient was convulsing a lot.
Kelvin, do you understand what she's talking about? I'm thinking that a particularly fussy patient came in for a vaccination.
Yes, you could say that. Anyway, it's good that the patient was mindful of his health. It's good to get vaccinated for tetanus every 10 years.
Right.
But anyway, let's go back to the case. Please, come in.
Alright.
Here's the autopsy report.
Okay. I'll take a gander. I should read the autopsy report first. It's in the note between the clues. Okay. Male, late 30s, blonde hair, green eyes. Notable feature, victim possibly red-green colorblind. Yeah, like the dude on Pamela Street. Gastrointestinal bleeding, destruction and bleeding of liver tissue due to acute ulcer, possibly caused by poison, engorged skin and severe red blood cell destruction observed. Toxicology results, atropine, scopolamine, and other miscellaneous tropane alkaloids. Last known intake, barbecued ribs and salad found to contain significant quantities of toxic substances. Poisoning. Yep, the man was poisoned.
Yeah, by the way, do you mind if I use this case in a research paper?
In a paper? Was there something odd about the body?
A lot.
A lot?
Some toxins were discovered in his body, but I'm getting the feeling that this isn't the end of the story. Some toxins might have been completely decomposed, and that could be why they didn't leave traces. The problem, though, is that the combination of the poisons found in this man's body is simply impossible.
A combination? So you're suggesting that the man was poisoned by something man-made?
That's right. I'm not sure how it was made, but it's a completely new sort of poison.
Would you say this man was intentionally poisoned then?
I can't be sure. The man could have taken the poison himself in order to commit suicide. The trace amounts of atropine means that he would have been completely anesthetized, and the man would have been hallucinating. By the time he was in a trance and couldn't feel any pain, the rest of the poisons would have spread into his body, necrotizing his organs. A quiet, drowsy death where you can't feel your insides burning away nor react to it.
So that's why we couldn't find any evidence of him resisting or struggling in pain.
I think I should look into what I found in the man's stomach.
The report says he ate barbecued ribs before he died. Is there a chance the food was poisoned?
It's not impossible, but if it is the case, It's strange that it took so long for him to die after eating it for dinner. He died of a special designer poison. That's all that I'm sure of.
I see. Got it.
By the way, do you have this man's name? It's better to include it in the research paper.
Living forever in a medical research paper after being poisoned by some ribs. Kelvin, I'm telling you as a friend, if something like that ever happens to me, do not share my name with any doctor, no matter what.
I will, if that ever happens.
I have a question. Here you wrote that the man could have been red-green colorblind. As far as I know, people who are red-green colorblind have an issue with their optical nerves and cannot distinguish between red and green. Is it possible to know if someone had it through an autopsy?
Good point. And you're right, it's impossible to know that through an autopsy. I don't take the eyeball out when I'm doing autopsies.
So that thing you wrote then?
The reason why I wrote the man could have been red-green colorblind was because of the contact lenses found on the man's eyes. I almost missed it because it was stuck right onto his eyes after he died, but this man wore green-tinted contact lenses. I was thinking that the man could have used the contact lenses to filter out green light to correct his color blindness. That's why I mentioned that in the report.
Correcting color blindness with a green-tinted lens. That's an interesting way to deal with it.
Well, I'm just suggesting that the man could have used the lenses for that purpose. You can't actually treat color blindness that way. Color blindness is something that happens on the level of cone cells. Just because the lens filters out some wavelengths doesn't mean that it somehow changes how the brain works. The lens looked like a scrappy one made by an obvious amateur, too. I'm guessing that the dead man was trying to invent a corrective lens only equipped with a limited knowledge on color blindness.
I see, corrective lenses for color blindness. Come to think of it, wasn't it on the list? A man who was red-green colorblind, I mean. It should be on the resident list Coleman picked up for us. Why don't you give it a gander? I already did. That's a good idea, if the dead man was one of the 3 residents at Pamela Street. Capable detectives use a detective board inside their mind to organize any links between the clues they find. Connect the 2 clues that connect each other using pins. Visualizing information like this will be very helpful in deducing things from your investigation. And it's him.
Checkmate.
Alexander Wayne. He seems like our guy. Hold on, are you sure? He looks completely different. I mean, I would say they're certainly related. Honestly, the photo doesn't look anything like him, but his physical features and the general look does match. What about his age? He doesn't look 35 at all. Could be an old photo. Time did a real number on him. Yeah, it's all fine and dandy, but this man doesn't have any relatives. We don't have anyone to notify.
So we don't need any approval from his family. Do you mind if I start working on the research paper then?
Oh. We're not completely sure yet, so first, we'll look into it and let you know.
Thanks, the faster the better.
That's one intimidating woman. Other than the autopsy, did you find anything odd from his belongings that we found on the scene? He was poisoned, right? So did you find any similar substance on him, or...?
Oh, I forgot to mention it because it was rather eventless. I didn't find anything on his belongings.
Kelvin said that something was unusual about his cigarettes.
I suppose it's interesting how it looks like a regular cigarette, but is filled with loose-cut leaves. It wasn't poisonous, though. If anything, the most interesting bit was the note that said Seema.
The note, you mean? Did you find anything on it?
No, not really, but isn't it strange? That's a page from the last page of a botany book.
Huh? A botany book, you say? Do you know anything about the note?
Well, it seems like he tore it out of a book called Kafra. Seema is a word printed on the last page of that book.
This kafra, where can we find it?
I bought a copy of it stuck somewhere in a bookstore. I thought the cover looked nice. It's this one right here. Do you want to read it?
Nice cover. I suppose you have an interesting sense of aesthetics. If you don't mind, I'd really appreciate it.
Other than the word on the last page, there's nothing that interesting about it. There seems to be a weird page around the end, but I think that's just a mistake someone made while printing the book.
Thank you very much for all the help.
Always here to help. Any other questions?
Nope, it's about time we went anyways.
I'll look into the poison a bit more and let you know if anything pops up.
Thank you very much. William, I think I'll head straight to the station. Hey, it's time for dinner. Why don't you stop by the station for some grub? Nah, I'm not feeling like it. The folks at the station would be waiting for a cop to show up. I'll see you later, William.
But this is where I will end this video. If you're interested in the continuation of the story, then why not check it out on Steam? And thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye!